Okay. I will call the meeting for the Village of Port Edwards regular monthly board meeting to order at 7 o'clock on March 12th, 2024. Here. Not turn the camera on.
Oh, sorry.
Good. All right. Now we're here. Okay. I will ask Diana to call the roll.
Trustee Brendan,
Here.
trustee McGregor,
Here.
trustee Moore,
Here.
trustee Radke,
Here.
trustee Saylor,
He is here.
okay, and trustee Zerflo.
Here.
Okay. We are going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are going to take a moment of silence for all those who have served and sacrificed for our freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to number 4, motion to approve the consent agenda, meeting minutes for February 13th, 2024 board meeting, monthly bills and previous month's journal entries.
Okay, so moved.
Moved by McGregor. Second by Moore. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes. Okay. Number 5, we are on to public comment. Anybody have any public comment? No, nobody is online.
No.
Okay. Okay, for president's reports, tonight we have Superintendent James Bina from the Port Edwards School District to present on the upcoming referendum. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for having me. Okay, I just make sure I was in a good spot. Okay, thank you for having me. Excuse me for having my back. I need to face forward for our camera. Some information about our upcoming referendum. As anyone who's paid attention around the village, you've seen some signs popping up like dandelions. Vote for the upcoming April 2nd referendum. The Port Edwards School District has 2 referendum questions on the April 2nd ballot. We have an operational referendum as well as a capital referendum. If you follow the news cycle, if you are on social media, each April, each February, each November, we see school districts having referendums. Why are we having so many referendums? In fact, in April, we have over 90 referendums by public school districts in the state of Wisconsin. Well, just a brief history lesson. In 1993, the state of Wisconsin put caps on the amount of money that public school districts could raise. And we are funded on a per pupil basis. And as that funding some years has been minimal from the state or is frozen, some years we get a respectable increase. But as those increases have slowly gone up since 1993, our costs have exceeded that. Okay, thus you see the large number of referendums where school districts are going to their local tax base for the additional funds that they need to continue to provide quality education. Port Edwards School District is a little bit unique, unlike our other neighbors. It's not uncommon for our local neighbors to have had 6, 7, 9, 10 referendums or referenda over the last 20 to 30 years. Anyone who's followed local school districts knows that. This is our 3rd referendum, 3rd in the last 56 years. The one in 1968, as many of you may know, was to build the elementary school here in town at Hoyer Elementary. So we've only had 2 referenda to continue our quality services and our building and grounds. I think that shows that we are pretty good stakeholders. We utilize our taxpayer funds quite well. We really watch that carefully. The first question that we have is an operational referendum question. That is a 5-year referendum, $850,000 annually. That has no estimated tax impact Question number one has no, I'll repeat that, no estimated tax impact. That would replace the referendum that is currently in place. It sunsets on June 30th of this year. It was passed in 2019. That 5-year referendum is going away on June 30th. The one that you'll see, question number one, would replace that. And again, no estimated tax impact. The operational referendum is what the name implies. It's for day-to-day operations of the school district. Between 85 to 90% of our $8 million budget is salaries and benefits. In order to maintain a robust programming, a robust school district, we need to stay competitive with salaries, with benefits, transportation, our day-to-day costs, things of that nature. Again, the money from the state has not kept up with those costs. And that is why we're pursuing our operational referendum question. The second question on the ballot is a $7.3 million capital referendum question. As we know, we have beautiful historic schools here in Port Edwards. We've had community meetings, we've spoken to our community members, and almost unanimously, by and large, they want to keep our buildings. We have a beautiful high school, originally built in 1932. We have an elementary built in 1968. We've all been around the block, every one of us in this room. We know with decades, with years, comes a lot of maintenance. We still have some heating units in the high school from the 1950s and 1960s. We have some end of their life boilers, end of their life air conditioning systems, end of their life control systems. They're very inefficient. Again, past their useful life, they could go at any time. We are trying to replace things that are at the end of their useful life or very close to dying before we have to do an emergency replacement. We're trying to be good stewards of our school buildings. We're trying to replace things before they die, and we have to either close down school temporarily or have an emergency call to have those types of things repaired. Some of those things that we're looking at with the $7.3 million capital referendum at the elementary, the cafeteria flooring, it's original from 1968. As that has been waxed and the wax has been stripped for 56 years, it is cracking. And underneath that tiling, the mastic that adheres it to the cement floor has asbestos in it. And tiny particles of asbestos are escaping. Now, microscopic, they don't pose a danger, but in quantities, it could pose a danger. And working with our consultants, they are telling us, you need to get that out of here sooner than later. So we have asbestos at the elementary in the mastic. We also have that in the tech ed room in the tile floor at the high school. Our cafeteria tables are past their useful life. Our boiler system is nearing the end of its useful life. We need to update our bathrooms. Again, the doors are not ADA compliant. You cannot get a wheelchair into the bathrooms at the elementary, and our exterior doors are quite old as well. Some of the major projects we're looking to do at the high school, masonry repairs. Okay, we have this beautiful brick high school built in 1932. The mortar that is holding the bricks in place, it has deteriorated over the decades. There are places where if you pull the bottom board out from a window and you look down between the brick and the plaster wall or the drywall there, you can see sunlight shining through. That's not a good thing. Okay, the elements are getting into the building a little bit. They're wearing down that plaster wall. Okay, we are looking to do professional tuck pointing, which is sealing that whole building, redoing the mortar, taking out the bad mortar, the old stuff, replacing it, and replacing the bricks that have cracked, okay, to maintain our historic building. We also need to replace some of the concrete around the building. We have uneven, unsafe walking surfaces. Our water lines, just like in the village, are very old. Unit ventilators, roof exhaust, those things are nearing the end of their useful life. Our lockers are very small, very old in the middle school. The gym floor, we would like to redo that, do a real professional, very thorough stripping of that gym floor. We have many layers of wax built up on it, and it's very costly to strip it down to the wood. That will preserve that gym floor if we can do that, but it's a very costly project. There is an old boiler that's abandoned in the basement. We would like to take that out if the capital referendum is passed. It's abandoned. Somebody asked, why don't you just leave it there? Well, some of the joints and elbows going into it, they are sealed, but there's asbestos in some of those joints. And that seal, over time, if it's taped up, that dries out and cracks as well.
You better check with the Historical Society.
The boiler? Yeah, they're about at that age, aren't they? It is much cheaper, much more cost effective for the school district and subsequently the taxpayer if we can remove asbestos in one fell swoop, all at once in one or two big projects. So when we have people on site to do the flooring, we would like to get that old boiler out too and get that asbestos out of the building. Okay. District-wide, we have some extremely old electrical lines in the high school. We would like to replace those. We need to do some sewer upgrades. We have got some pipelines that are very, very narrow. We need to update our bathrooms, again, to make sure they're ADA compliant at the high school. We want to go all digital controls district-wide on our heating and air conditioning. It's much more efficient to do so. That's a cost savings. And security. Okay, school security is a huge issue in 2024. Seems like with each passing year, we hear more and more tragedies taking place. We want to add more cameras in more places in the district. We have our doors are secure, they are locked. But we have a somewhat outdated buzzing system that allows people in and out of our main doors at both the elementary and the high school. We would like to upgrade that, make it a more functional system. And finally, we want to replace the generator at the high school as well. So the cost on that capital referendum question is, it's a conservative estimate, but it's $143 per year per $100,000 of assessed value on your home. Okay, that's about $11 a month. So if you have a $200,000 home, that would be about $22 a month added onto your tax bill. That number was calculated at a 5.5% interest rate. That's a conservative interest rate. We are working with Baird Financial. Baird thinks that we would be able to get most likely a better interest rate than that. Schools are very good partners in the credit world, and she believes that we could get somewhere between a 4.8 and a 5% borrowing rate. So that might drop that $11 per month to 10 something or 9 something per month. So when we say $11 per month or $143 on a $100,000 home, that is a conservative estimate. Okay. That would be a 20-year note, the $7.3 million, much like a mortgage. We could prepay it down if we have additional funds. And again, that percentage rate we're borrowing it at is 5.5%. We can always refinance that as well. Okay, if rates do drop. So very similar to a mortgage that way. So a lot of information there in about 10 minutes. Anything that I went over you'd like to hear more information about, or any questions about anything? Mr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Administrator, thank you all.
Thank you.
Maybe it's my occupational past, but estimates make the hair on my neck stand up.
Mhm.
So Baird told you you're at 5.5, that's what you're thinking about, and she thinks she can get it down to 5.0 or 4.8.
Mhm.
What's your feeling on that? I'm sure you'll grab it, but do you think that, and I'm sure she's explained a lot of things to you.
Yes, based on my meetings with our Baird company, schools have a very high rate. They're a very trustworthy organization. And so she feels very confident we could get lower than 5.5. So I I trust our company we're working with.
Then the other one is under operations, no estimated tax impact.
Yes. It replaces the operational referendum that's currently in place that is sunsetting.
Okay, the asbestos problem, was talked about during 1980 to 1986 when I was on the school board.
Yes,
And that's when we used to ride horses to our meetings. Some people would have carriage.
I remember. I was there.
That is I don't care how microscopic the fibers are, get that crap out of there.
Absolutely.
Because that is a lawsuit, big time, waiting to happen.
Absolutely. And that is 40 years ago. So the problem that was there 40 years ago has only gotten worse. We have more tiles cracking, more of it is getting into the yard. Absolutely.
I wasn't the president of the board, though, so you can't blame me. I
Right,
just won't.
right.
Well, I only have 2 signs for this up in my yard. Like I said, those are my 2 questions, so I know the chairman will cut me off soon.
Thank you.
But good job, Jim.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Beano? Trustee Griffin.
Can you explain that again? So there's gonna be 2 questions. One of them is if we're gonna support the operational referendum and the capital referendum, right? Okay. And the operational referendum is just continuing the one that's in place.
It would replace it. So it's the term is non-recurring. The
Right.
one that is currently in place is a non-recurring. It was a 5-year, and again, it ends June 30 of this year. We're kind of, just to make sure we're on the same wavelength, if it was continuing, it would be a recurring referendum.
Okay,
But it's a non-recurring, replacing the non-recurring that's
Okay.
currently in place.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? No? Okay.
Did everyone get a handout or a flyer that would like? I'll leave a few here. So, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Don't really have much for president's report besides trying to prep for the next term. When it comes to committee assignments and stuff like that. So if I have not talked to you personally on if you have preferences or anything like that, let me know. And we can just have a chat about that. Okay, number 7, committee reports, Mr. Zerflu, Airport Commission.
Okay, the minutes you have, I presume, are from the February 1st meeting. So if there's no questions on that, I'm gonna go right in. I only have one item. And that is, in our last meeting on the 7th of this month, we went into closed session to discuss 2 things. The part-time position created some years ago over at the airport to help the airport manager is now being considered to go into full time. 2 things about that. The commission authorized it, but the city of Wisconsin Rapids, because they're employees of the city, does the thinking. And so they had a meeting tonight, and I'm sure they approved to move forward on it. I couldn't make it up there. Then the other thing is you heard me talk about the instruction, sir, and we're talking mainly about a lot of trees and whatnot. And after about a 15-minute discussion, we decided to stay with the people that have been helping us bits and pieces here and there for about the last 5 years. So we'll take official action on that in April. Fuel sales, of course, are down. But the weather stays in April like it's been in March. I'm sure the Sand Valley people will be showing up in droves. And did anybody hear the kaboom
Yeah.
this afternoon? And then anybody look up in the sky and all the zigzags? The boys are having fun today. That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you. Police and Fire Commission. Chairman Stewart wasn't sure if he was gonna have any internet reception where he is tonight. He is traveling back from his winter away in the warm.
He didn't think he was gonna get anywhere near here.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'll just read the report that he, sent to us. The PFC met on March 4th at 5 o'clock, we discussed beginning work and tasks involving the upcoming search for a new police chief. Individual commissioners were tasked with several items to include position, advertisement, description, various venues, etc. If possible, a broad Midwest search will be conducted once the new board is in place after the election. Scott would like to engage in some preliminary discussions with the FHR and public safety committees to get an idea of the 2025 budget chief salary considerations. We'd like to be forthright with the salary information to our applicants. We will have at least 2 commission interviews, a law enforcement expert panel interview, and a public finalist event with a feedback mechanism. The PFC approved another fire department chief recommendation for promotion. Captain Brian Lukey shall be promoted to assistant chief. The PFC has approved 3 of the 4 recommendations in the last 2 months. Chief Warden will make arrangements with the village clerk Tremmel and Administrator Gao to have them sworn in. Chief Warden advises that he has no further recommendations for promotion into the remaining empty 3 positions at this time. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 1st at 5 p.m. I would say, do you have any questions for Chairman Stewart? But I can't answer them. So,
Madam Chair, if I may,
yes,
what,
sir.
did you mention something about salaries?
Salary for the budget for the chief salary considerations looking forward.
As long as you know that that's before the board and not the commission, the salary.
Right. Yep. Okay, if you have any other questions, just feel free to reach out to Chairman Stewart. I can't answer anything. Obviously, we're gonna strike the motion to approve the promotion of Brian Lukey. That was in the TFC's wheelhouse, so we don't need to make a motion on that. Plan Commission.
I'll take it.
Okay.
On the plan commission, the minutes is in your packet. And one of the reasons why this came before the planning commission is that the village is requesting this amendment. The Port Plaza is currently under the condo plat. And the village is recommending that the condo plat be dissolved and create a survey plat whereby each owner would have title for their section. In your packet, there was actually a little map of the condo plat. We got a chance to see it. That was so you can tell, and also in the packet was the area that we're talking about that would the rezoning would occur. And and the rezoning, and we had a hearing on it. The rezoning request is for section 12.17.12.4. By amending, allowing, and we've named it the CB Central Business District, where we have reduced the front yard and a rear yard lot size in the 100 or 200 addresses in Market Avenue. In other words, it's just down the center block where we're at right now. The reason, we had to name a different designation for that district because we still have areas as a B1. And so what you have is then the ordinances in front of you also. And the ordinance is what the planning commission is recommending to the village board. Basically what it's doing is changing the B1 central district in the ordinances, right? It had its own heading. We're making it an A. And then we're creating the B, a new B section. It's gonna call CB Central Business District. It's in Market, it's a 100 or 200 Avenue Market Street. The lot frontage is gonna be, minimum is gonna be 20 feet. That meets one of the requirements, very close to what we have. And of course, you can see it's different than the B1 at 60 feet. The lot area minimum will be 1,370 square feet, where in the B1, it's much larger. The principal building front yard is no change. It's no minimum, which is very similar to the other one. The side yard is the same as the other one, where it's 10 feet, abutting a residential district. The rear yard is down to 6 feet to abutting a residential district, and that is taken off above a building that's across the street. I think it's the electrical unit, which is that's the closest to the setback of the alley. The other one is 10, so we're using that piece. The height of the buildings are the same, but of course, there'd be no accessory buildings. And that's because of there is no yard to cover those areas. So that's how, that's where the whereas is at, and then therefore resolved is the actual same rewriting of it. And that's in front of us tonight. It's gone through public hearing. Planning Commission is recommending it to the village board. This then we need this in place to send down to the Wisconsin, to Madison, along with our survey, to get it in compliance, so then we can move forward actually getting the condo plot, the plaza center here, from a condo plat to an actual lands being owned by the individuals. And then they have them as a free title for them, and then they can have specific tax rate, excuse me. They have their own tax number then. That's why this is in front of you, and this is actually being petitioned on behalf of the village for this and we, the village, as you know, are doing all the survey work already and doing all the ordinance changes, and also we'll be doing the amendment, going to each of the owners of the condo plat, getting them off, and then have the notice it coming out. Any questions?
You need a motion on that?
Yes, before you can.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Radke, second by Grundon. Any other questions? Discussion?
Approving ordinance 2022, number 22.
Number 22, yep. Motion to approve the.
And I just read the chart. Sorry to help you, ma'am. I just read the ordinance needs to be voted by roll call.
By roll call vote.
Hmm.
Okay. It's first, any discussion? No. Okay, from Diane, please.
Okay, trustee Grundon,
Yes.
trustee McGregor,
Yes.
trustee Moore. Yes. Trustee Radke,
Yes.
trustee Zerflo,
Yes.
and President Matson.
Yes. Okay, anything else on that, Wayne?
None of them, no. Thank you very much. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, trustee Radke, Public Works Committee.
Public Works met on February 28th. Here at the Marshall Buehler Center at 4:30. We did have the UWSP, forestry management class here. Instructor Robert Vanderhoop and his class for urban forestry were here. They're gonna do a no-cost management, plan for the village trees in the village of Port Edwards. It's kind of a class learning thing for their class, and plus it will help out the village in further grant opportunities. So it is on the website that they'll be out here. They're no cost. And if you see kids and instructors doing some work, that will be what they're out there doing. And it's actually a good thing. And after they're done, there's an opportunity that at the UWSP, which I'm hoping to make, we'll do a presentation on this, their management plan. Other than that, Public Works update by Ben Martinson, our Public Works Director. Everything is going well. Of course, the snow plowing is down. The other thing that was mentioned too, that ash tree disease, I think we've seen a lot of the crew go by taking down ash trees in our village because of the ash disease, and they're taking down the worst ones because of budget limitations. So they've been going through, if you see our guys out there doing that, that's why they're doing it, is because of that ash-borne disease. Other than that, hopefully for future items is we're looking at hopefully hiring some summer help. And that's further down in the agenda. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Public Works? Nope. Do you know of a next meeting date?
Yeah, tentatively 3:30 PM on the 27th of March.
2:30,
3:30.
3:30.
What day?
March 27th.
Okay. Thank you for that. Chairman McGregor, Public Safety Committee.
Yes, Public Safety met March 5th at 5 PM. Chief Warden updated us with the grant for the turnout gear for the department. It's been finished and submitted to FEMA. And we will know the results in June, asking for 70,000 to replace 17 units. Chief also wanted to thank Ben Martinson for his help fixing up the rescue truck and getting some more years squeezed out of it, and the necessary things to with paint and pinstriping as well for the rescue truck. And then kept us up to date with their 5-year plan in replacing engine number 3 and the collecting data and specs will start preferably this year to see how far we can get with replacing engine 3 for the department. For the police department, Chief Drew just talked about the very busy month that they had. There was a lot of activity in the village pertaining particularly to theft with unlocked vehicles and one involving a firearm. At the time of the report, one of the individuals was apprehended. And then he just had mentioned that ordinance citations had been on the rise. Truancy issues, tobacco issues are leading to extra ordinance citations. And I think that was a comment related to this school as well. Besides that, our next meeting will be Tuesday, April 2nd at 5 p.m.
Okay, any questions for Chairman McGregor? No, okay. Chairman Zerflu, Parks and Rec Committee.
We, didn't much at all talk about, outside of the report that was on page 1 of the minutes, I'm sure you all read. Explains a little bit about the deer management program and what they've been up to, meeting the Parks Department, Public Works Department. We'll concentrate on page 2, item number 8. We had a discussion and, real good discussion, I might add, about the possibility of adding a security system, mainly cameras to Ripple Creek Warming House and Edwards Alexander Splash Pad and Shelter. When you talk about security, it's I don't mean this in a negative way, but police are second because they're called. Camera systems cannot be beaten out by anybody. And I'm really glad that the committee unanimously came forward with this to the board. Mobile Lock and Security gave us a quote, I'm sure you saw it, for $2,944. And that's a pretty good price for 3 different systems, 2 down there and 1 in the rig. Questions?
Any questions for him? Okay,
Okay, Madam President, I'll turn it over to you to call that motion.
okay.
Vote.
Motion to accept the quote from Mobile Lock and Security for the cameras and items in the proposal provided for $2,944.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Zerflu, second by McGregor. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
And I did have one citizen call me when he found out about this, and he is a perpetual thorn under my saddle with the goose droppings in the park. He says, now you'll be able to do something about them geese. And I'm still trying to think about what the hell we can do about it outside of watch them deposit fertilizer. Thank you very much.
When is the
Appreciate it.
next meeting? It looks like March 27th at 4.
Yep, that'll be the last one under the current year. So,
Yes, sir. Okay. G, Planning, Legislative, Property and IT Committee. I see Brendan.
We met March 5th. We had a discussion about Mission Coffee with an update. A new timeline was set between Mission Coffee owner and village administrator to keep the business proposal moving forward. The timeline is contingent on receiving the CWED grant. That's critical in getting the development agreement completed. and reviewed and signed by May 1st. The timeline has a November 1st as a proposed open date based on contractor's estimate that construction should take 4 to 6 weeks. We went into closed session to discuss and get an update regarding Ripple Creek. Do you want to speak on that?
Not right now, because we didn't finish it.
We had a discussion in closed session. We didn't come out and take any action. Let's see. For future agenda items, are going to be speaking on replacing the village servers through Wood County IT. Also, the Mission Coffee Developers Agreement update and an update on the Second Street property cleanup progress. And our next meeting is April 2nd at 6 p.m.
Any questions? Trustee Radke?
Yeah, on the Mission Coffee, I mean, this has been pushed back a little bit and I understand why they're seeking grants. And seeking funding, and I think that there was some under the old administration into the new. But if they do not get this grant, the CWED grant, do we have another avenue? Are we gonna put the property up for sale? Are we going to, I think that the timeline is now May 1st, correct?
Oh, go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah, and we have in here, that's her timeline May 1st, but I do know I'm working today with our village attorney on actual development agreement and also the sale document and for the purchasing property. We hope and want that at that next village board meeting. So it will lock everything in and the whole project with Mission Coffee. And the big item is, like you just said, subject to the the grant. If she does, I can't find the right word. If she does not get the grant, we're drafting it both that she can pull out and we can pull out. And we figure she get that structured by August or in September. If that doesn't happen, then we're back to looking for a new person to take over for the sale, but we pretty well have this vendor or person locked in to get to this point.
We're locked in until August, and then if that doesn't come through, then
Well,
we'll have to look at other options.
that's exactly right. Basically, we're looking at actually we talked in the staff and we want to make sure we can at least go to December. Because if things, November, and by November, we will know that we can go to a different option. But we do have, how can I say, a agreement in concept with all these conditions of the grant.
Okay, I mean, in the meantime, the village has been paying the electric and any other.
Yep. The agreement is pretty hefty because we got a lot of clauses in there. If this doesn't happen, this gets pulled and that happens. So it's all tied to a lot of document, the pricing, the construction date, the starting time, the agreement, which is a land purchase agreement, land contract agreement. So it's a little trickier than just a straight purchase. So I got all the documents in front of Nick and he's promised me that he'd have it next week by Monday. So I gotta get it to the, a potential purchaser so they can review it and be comfortable, so we can all get a chance to sign it on April. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for having to continue. I got some more information today.
That's okay.
Any other questions for Chairman Grunda? Okay. Anything else?
Next meeting.
Oh, we got the next meeting already. April 2nd at 6. Okay. Chairman Rice, FHR committee.
FHR met on March 7th at 5 o'clock here at Marshall Bueller Center. We had a couple of things, one that proposed a motion on, and we had discussion and hopefully propose a motion that we increase the summer help wage. It is in your packet here. Right now, the way the structure is, first year's summer help is $11, second year is $11.50, third year is $12. We propose that we move that up to first year at $13 an hour, second year $14, and third year $15. We have 2 applicants.
speaking with the, public director, Ben Martinson, he said that, if we can bring these up and because of, budget purposes, that he would, go with 2 this year. Well, we only have 2 that are interested, and again, it's probably because of the job market. And to be honest with you, if you're paying 11 and $11.50 and $12 an hour, they probably can cut grass or something else somewhere and probably get paid that. So
Or-
that's why we'd like to bump it up, and we propose at our next meeting of hiring the 2. So my proposal here, I guess, and I'd put it to you, President, is for a motion to increase the wage for our summer help.
Okay, you're making the motion?
I'll make that motion to approve summer help wages for 2024 as first year with Village 13 an hour, second year with Village 14 an hour, and third year with the Village at 15 an hour.
I'll second it.
Motion by Grundon, second by Ranky. Any other discussion or questions? No? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries.
I guess also we just got an update, by the administrator on performance improvement plan, and everything is moving forward. Nothing really other than, that they're working on this plan. At this time, and we'll get an update on the next opportunity, either next month or the month after. Our next meeting will be April 4th at 5 PM here.
Thank you. Okay. Number 8, unfinished business. Anybody have any unfinished business? New business. Any new business? Okay, report from village administrator.
What I have on the agenda is a discussion that came out of I think, public safety where the fire department has a few special events. I managed it last year. You had quite a discussion on it in your packet, and one of the last items I had there underneath one portion of it, I put together a document that I think, as I worked with the fire chief by emails to make sure we cover the areas of this process. And it's, I'm gonna kind of go through it because it takes care of a lot of, it's an annual one, and that's what whereas Port Edwards Fire Department, through its athletic association, have a few events yearly sponsored by the association, and whereas the events are held on a village property known as a village civic event, and whereas the village policy, in quotes, the village employees are prohibited from using, possessing, manufacturing, selling, distribution, storing, or purchasing or disposal of alcohol. And whereas the village posits there may be some exceptions based on special events authorized by the village as part of the special time frame and contract, that's not right, special time frame and an agreement. That's in one contract, an agreement with the village. Take the word contract out. And whereas the village can grant and authorize such event that distributing alcohol on its property, in this case, the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club. Whereas the village liability insurance, the village of the Port Edwards provides through the legal municipalities does extend full liquor liability insurance protection of the village and the volunteer fire department that has been provided by our carrier. Whereas the village insurance company will protect the village and the fire department, third-party injury and property damage liability claims are brought against it as a result of the event. It includes claims involving alcohol consumption. It protects the third-party bodily injury and property, but not death. That's how it's been drafted for us. And whereas when the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club holds any event in the village-owned property, they must obtain an operator's license under the volunteer fire department's name, Port Edwards Firefighters Athletic Association. Now, therefore, the village board authorized the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club to hold 2024 events for the civic use in the village owned property. Now therefore further, that if alcohol consumption will be at these events, the Public Fire Athletic Association must have an operator's license under the volunteer fire department's name. Now therefore furthermore, that the attendance of any Port Edwards volunteer fire department at any time of these events, the department bylaws, section 3, general guidelines 4, no member shall appear at a meeting or on duty in a state of intoxication. The fire chief must contact its neighboring fire and EMS provider, mutual aid departments to make all all Port Edwards Fire Department calls covering the Port Edwards Fire Department area responsibility for each event. If this can't be provided, any event of the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club must be canceled for the safety of the citizens that the Port Edwards Fire Department cover. The last paragraph is what I worked through emails with the chief, because that is the process they've been passed. This document is in front of you for consideration to get the discussions moving and also getting the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club on record what they need to do for special events that they have. And they may have one or two per year. The way this is drafted, this would be an annual permission process. And then they too can go ahead with their events, get their tickets and et cetera. So they have this document, they can move forward.
Any questions on that?
Well-
Trustee Zerflu?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to point out as a history major in college, the last little now therefore, and I'm sure Lon will back this up. Everything stated in there was always covered by the fire department. The Coosa was on standby, Rapids was on standby, Grand Rapids was on standby to help you out in different areas. Is that correct? And in all those years, Lon, he worked a lot of them. When I worked in my younger days, a lot of the street dances when I had black hair and a lot more of it. And never did we ever have an issue with a fireman, but we had a couple intoxicated civilians, put it that way, but nothing major. So I think this is a good idea. And without objection, Madam Chair or Madam President, I would like you to ask the chief if he has any comments at this time.
Any objection?
No.
Do you have any comments before?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that it doesn't describe is the advertising, it being for athletic association and not the fire department. That was the whole point of the agreement, that aspect, so that it's established that they can manage their stuff and we're not involved in that at all.
The way this is drafted, it's for the Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club. And what it does is that explains what all's available through the village for liability insurance and valorization. When and if you agree with this, then everything is in place for the Athletic Club, which
Right.
is fire department.
So we need that out. Does that get outlined behind the scenes or in this agreement that the advertisement isn't fundraising for the fire department, it's
It's-
for the club?
It's after, whatever the event they have, I just call it an event. It could be fundraising, it could be an event for the children or event for a get together at Parkland.
Mhm.
And if they have alcohol, they have to have their license, the operator license. Plus this document, then the advertisement, everything else is for the fire department's athletic club.
So, and that's where this came up, for the point of publicly having that separate. And nothing on the advertising that says fire department, because that they make their own decisions. That was the nature of this, forming this document, that they make their own decisions. If they that they're a nonprofit. We don't, as a board, we're not responsible for that.
Here, but the thing is, only thing you're doing, and you're not responsible, it's it's Port Edwards Fire Department Athletic Club, they go together. The athletic club is part of the Port Edwards Fire Department. So basically, you're giving the association, the athletic association, to let them do events, giving them permission to do it on your property, your village property, and giving them permission to sell alcohol beverages. And at the same time, you're letting them know, we know that they're being covered, you know, they're being covered for that
Right.
because you're authorizing it. But
But for the public purpose, we want the public to know that's not coming into the funding of the village. That
and
they're separate. It's not going for equipment or fire trucks unless they choose.
They-
So we need
that's-
it to, they're advertising to exclude the Port Edwards Fire Department and say the Athletic Association. That's what we had agreed on last year.
It's fine how they want to say in their tickets, but you gotta realize what you're saying. The athletic association is part within the fire department. So how they put it out there would be
But-
the athletic.
And that's what we wanted to separate because they want their independence. So that's the way that Nick had said by establishing that, then we don't have to worry about auditing or anything like that. Because of that, if we,
All this is doing is giving them the authority to work on your property.
That's, no, this question, that's what I thought this was. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but when I came into this, it was. While they're using the electricity there, blah, 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 so we need to do a document that says, yes, you can do this and we're not charging you, you know, that's where I thought this came from, I don't. Know where the advertising piece is coming from. But this is just basically saying, yep, we stamp your approval, go ahead, have the dance,
You
right?
bet, or whatever, they may have another event.
So- And that's my next, thank you, that's my next question. So this is saying, yep, the dance, and we're saying a few events yearly that they sponsor. So for example, like I think there's a Christmas party or things like that. We're saying those yearly events, yep, you're good for the year.
As long as it's a civic event that the public's coming to.
Oh, it's
not-
gotta be a public.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a civic event. Village, known as a village civic event. That's why I emphasize that. It's not an event just strictly for the association on the property. It's gotta be an event that's for the whole community to participate in.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Anything else? Okay. So we need a motion, right? You want a motion?
Yeah, straight, yes.
Okay,
You
motion.
had it on. Didn't you do that?
There's just not, it's not a motion on the agenda.
No, no.
Well.
This is becoming an official village policy, right?
I mean, annually, you got to look at this annually.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a request and authorization. So that's without you giving authorization, it's gotta be a motion. Just because the word motion isn't there doesn't mean, it didn't come out of any committee. I'm
Right,
reporting it.
That's what, okay. So motion to authorize the Port Edwards Volunteer Fire Department Athletic Association agreement with the village, is that what you're? How do you?
And an annual agreement,
With the Port Edwards Athletic Association,
and that's our road agreement with the village. The word in there.
okay,
I'll move the motion.
oh gosh, remember it, Becky for the motion. Second by Moore. Any other discussion on it? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. that
I'll get this
passes.
redrafted and get drafted.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Okay, reports from clerk treasurer.
Oh, nothing, nothing.
Come on.
Had a good vacation.
Oh, yeah, yeah, her vacation. Okay, any trustee comments? Right now. Okay, I have something, and Diane, don't worry about writing it, I will forward it to you. Okay, so this is a letter to the Village Board of Trustees, department heads, employees, and residents of the Village of Port Edwards. As I reflect on what has been almost a year in my tenure as being village president, I have a lot to take in. This has been an honor, and I have been deeply privileged to be able to serve in this position. One thing that I have learned and understand is that allegiances run deep in a small community. I'm from a small community. If you are from here, graduated from here, or abide by any of the norms of the community you're in. Generally, if you hold positions of influence and leadership in small towns because people know you and your family, or because you've been here the longest, which can have its benefits because you know the people and the history. But it can make it difficult to separate personal from the village business. You can also get stuck in that's just how we do things here mentality. I firmly believe that this is what the issue has been over the last year, that myself and some others are making decisions to put the village's best interest first instead of who you know. I am sure it is easier for me because I'm not from here. I understand that it can be frustrating when someone new comes in and suggests changes to what we've always done here or pushes back on the norms of the community. It is not because we don't care. It is because we can see things from a different perspective. Last month, I made a statement at the end of the meeting, a statement that was genuine and from the heart, that members of the village board and the fire department have to move forward in a positive direction. How those of us in leadership positions cannot let personal relationships hold favor over our duties to protect and serve our village. During this past public safety meeting, I believe that the words that I said last meeting were used in an attempt to intimidate me into taking a different stance on certain matters. I was asked a question of who was all there that weekend, with an intense stare when someone was referring to who helped me out on a farm project. Without going into further detail, I will once again reiterate to everyone that I will absolutely not let any personal relationships that I have had with individuals weigh heavily on my decisions that I make as a voting member on this board. I will give ideas, input, and vote on what I think is best for the village based on the information that I know and any feedback given to me from village residents. Oops. Sorry. I would also like to note that attempting to discuss specific fire promotion during the public safety meeting and using a past good deed a person may have had done as intimidation is inappropriate and unprofessional. Matters involving police and fire hires, firing, discipline, and promotion are the responsibility of the independent body not affiliated with the village board. That is why I voted to keep the PFC. So politics, relationships, and past favors do not have a place in the decisions for hiring or advancement within either of these departments. To keep us separate, it ensures decisions in these areas are made based upon what is best for the community and not who knows someone. I will continue to work for the village in every way that I can. I will continue to work with every individual and give respect to everyone, even if they do not like me or have hurled insults towards me. I just ask that we treat each other with dignity and respect, even if we don't always agree or get along outside of this meeting room. We all need to remember that we are representatives of the village, even when we are not on the clock or on duty or sitting around this boardroom table. Our duty to the community, each other, and our positions is to always act in a professional manner for the village of Port Edwards. If we miss the mark on this, we are doing a disservice to our village. We, including board members and employees and department heads, could end up making decisions out of anger or in fear of retaliation instead of what is best for our community. Thank you. Is there anything else? Okay. Committee meeting calendar. The PFC has their meeting April 1st at 5 o'clock. Parks, Recreation, Cemetery, March 27th at 4 o'clock, followed by Public Works is first on the same date, March 27th at 2:30. Public Safety, April 2nd at 5 o'clock, followed by Pitt at 6 o'clock, FHR, April 4th at 5 o'clock, and then the next village board meeting is April 9th. Okay. Without any objection, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:57.
And I want to thank trustee Moore for canceling school on May 27th or March 27th. So we can meet at 7 o'clock. Jim told me he gave you.
Do we have that kind of phone?
No, I do not.